Hello everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be putting a transfer case in. This is a 2013 GMC Terrain all-wheel drive. I did a video recently, it's up on my channel there, of how we went about tracing down that noise. You can check that out. But this is a used transfer case. We're going to try to put that in. I haven't ever done one of these before, so we're just going to have to get in there and figure it out. Okay, looks like that transfer case, looks like this catalytic converter is right in the way. So I believe that's going to have to come out. And of course the drive shaft, the right side CV axle shaft up in here, all going to have to come out just so we can get to it, it looks like. So let's get to work. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this cover, this breather cover here, where I can gain access to where the top of that catalytic converter bolts up at. We'll just unplug, pull this tab up, unplug this sensor. You got four like T20, T25, T27 little tube over here that just pops off. You'll have a band clamp, worm clamp down here that holds this on, and that should just all pop off. So next I'm going to remove this cover. This pops off in the back end. Yeah. Okay, this says it's got a shield back here on this exhaust manifold. So I need to get under there to where it bolts up at. So I'll have to remove this shield, I think, just to give me a little better access. I may remove this bracket here that holds that breather part in place. It feels like that's like a 13 millimeter. Got two of them there, and just unattach these connectors and wiring harnesses, get that out of the way and give me a little more room. Okay, that's the shield that came off of it. And you can see where the bolts ran that held it on. If you can get this oxygen sensor out, it would be a lot easier to remove that shield. This sensor is just seized up in here and it will not come out. And then on the bolts, they're nuts. There's one right there, one right there, and one that comes down in between. I don't think you're going to be able to see that. Now this manifold, it's got a crack in it right here. Don't look like it's leaking yet, but if I unbolt that, it may go to leaking. You can see that. If I can get a close up. Focus. Right there. Anyway, them look like a 15 maybe. And there's three of them. So buzz them out. Now that we got the top of the catalytic converter unbolted, we need to take these two 15 millimeter nuts off And there's a little bracket right here. I believe it's the same thing, a 15 millimeter. We'll buzz them off real quick. Then I'll have a rubber bracket here that we'll have to slip out. I'm going to need an extension. Lucky I said catalytic converter. Usually I say Cadillac converter. Okay, pull that apart. Put that down. Grab a pry bar. See what's going to be the best way to pry this off. If you lube them up with some penetrating oil, they'll slip off a lot easier. Like that. Maybe I should have left that up top. And it's got a an oxygen sensor down here that we'll need to unplug. And I don't know if this is even going to slide out. Doesn't even look like there's room for me to do that. There's a brace up here. It's blocking me. Okay, that bracket that I'm having a problem with is the one that it bolts this here manifold bracket, or this converter bracket up, and that 15 millimeter nut is right behind that. I can get a light up in there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not. But anyway, you cannot get to it from down here. So I'm going to pull this wheel off. It's got to come off anyway. And see if we can go in through here with a wrench and see if we can get it loose. Okay, so here's a better look at this wheel off. I'll try to point it out to you. There's the converter, and it's right there, that nut right there, right at the end of my light there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's attached to that bracket. So I'm going to try to get a wrench in there and break that loose. I can't quite get to that nut with a wrench. So what I'm going to do, it's got to be done anyway. I'm going to remove the CV axle and remove this bracket that holds the end of that transfer case in place. That way I can get a better angle at that nut on that bracket there. Okay, we're going to remove this caliper out of the way. It's 14 millimeters. And I'll just pull it up, and then I'll tie it up here out of the way. Next, I'll remove this outer tie rod end, this 18 millimeter nut. Free it up, take a hammer. Next thing will be this axle nut here. This is a 36 millimeter. sure it's free there. Then the next thing will be where these strut bolts on. This is a 21mm nut here and here, and I'll remove these nuts and I'll remove these bolts. We're just going to separate that a little bit from that. You may want to have to, there's a ABS speed sensor cable here that I need to free up a little bit more to give it more room. And it looks like it just clips, little plastic clips there that I can free up. Just like that. Up here. That'll give it a little play. Then we'll push this axle in. Get this shaft here loose. Now we'll go and get us a pry bar and get behind this CV axle and see if we can pop it loose out of the transfer case. It's coming. There we go. Now we're going for these two bolts right here. There's one right here, one here. They look to be 15mm. There's one here, and there'll be one up top here. So let's get them buzzed out. Okay. Now there's a hidden one. There's a hidden bolt back here on the other side. I'll have to figure out how to get to it and raise the vehicle up. Okay, here's that bracket. This is what I use to get around there to it. Just a wobble and an extension. Just got around to it and got it out like that right there. Okay, that's the nut that's holding a bracket on for the exhaust that we need to get off, and I couldn't get to it and get to it better right there. But it's a 15mm, so you'll just have to wrench that out. Okay, we got that out of the way. There's a bracket here that holds the transfer case up on top. It's a 15 here. There's a couple other bolts back in here in the back. 15. One here, one here. What is that, a 17, I think? Anyway, when we get to that, that's what we're going to do. But first, we need to remove this this drive shaft, and that is 10 millimeter. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark this to keep it in line. It probably don't matter, but I want, in case it's all balanced out together, I'll put a mark, a paint mark here. That way, go back to the same position. Okay, these are not 10, these are 8 millimeters. Okay, so that's not going to give us enough room to slide this out. Thought I could slide it out and just tie it up over here. So I'm going to have to take the center carrier bearing loose. And let's do that. These are 13 millimeter. I'm just going to drop it. I'm just going to leave them bolts in it. Drop it. And see if that just gives me enough where that'll come down. And it will not. It figures. We'll take this one out. And we'll bring it down like this. Then I'm going to get a piece of wire. I'm going to get a piece of wire. And I'm going to pull this thing up over here, bring it up, and then tie it up out of the way. Okay, this is what I did. I just stuck them two bolts. I hand tightened them two carrier bearer bolts in it. Sprung this over with a piece of wire, tied it up right here. It's out of the way. You could go ahead and remove the rear if you want to remove it, but that'll work just fine. Next, I'm going to remove these two 18 millimeter bolts here on the bottom. And we'll work on the top. Okay, we're going to work on these top bolts on this thing. Before you do that, I went ahead and I loosely installed one of these lower bolts here because I don't want that thing to drop out on me when I get these loosened up here. But I'll try to show you. I won't be able to show you as I'm doing it, but I can show you maybe what I'm going after. First, there is a little bracket. My camera. A little bracket that hooks to the engine and then hooks to the transfer case. Now that has a 15 millimeter in it. I got a socket on it right there. I hope you can see it. Maybe if I put my camera up a little higher, right there. Right there. We need to take that out and take that little bracket out. And then, oh, this is hard to do here. Now you can't see nothing. I can lay that light there. You're going to have a 15 here. is one here, and then there's two more right here. You can see it real clear from where I'm at. Right here. And then there's a big 18 millimeter. Don't know if well, I probably will go ahead and remove that one. Let me see if I can get you to it. It's right here. I'll probably just loosen that up. That may flip up enough. I don't know. I'll find out. But anyway, I'll buzz them loose and then I'll come back when I get them out. I took all them bolts out. I even took that big long 18 millimeter. This one right here that hooks to the frame. I took it out and flipped that up, that bracket. Let me show you. Maybe go underneath it here. This is that bracket I was talking about. I just flipped it up, kind of pushed it up out of the way. This thing is loose right now, so I'll lift it up and then we'll remove this lower one that's just finger tight. Okay, remove this one. I just stuck it in there. Get it out of the way. And then I'm going to try to slide this out. Hopefully it comes out without falling on me. Or soaking me like that. Phew, right in the mouth. All right. Okay. So that's pretty much it. But this is the a better picture of that bracket that I was talking about. It's up on the top. It has the big 18 millimeter bolt that runs through it. You just flip it up out of the way. That's good for now. Then it's got that small one that bolts up in here somewhere. I can't remember. Anyway, make sure your face is not underneath this when you pull it off like me and get a mouthful. Don't work with your mouth open. But that's basically it. Let's see here. Pull this out. And what we got in here. Just got a seal in here. Anyway, as far as difficulty, the converter is really hard. Maybe an 8 on a scale from 1 to 10. Especially if you don't have all the right stuff, then you may not want to tackle this. Just depends on how enthusiastic you are. But anyway, all you got to do now, if you do it, just reverse procedure, go back together. Thanks for watching, everybody. You have a blessed day.